Hello crafters, I'm here today not with a tutorial but with a review of a new cardstock that is going to hit the market soon. I have recently discovered this new online crafting store. It's called CraftMore.com. From our experience, they have wonderful customer service. They offer a flat rate shipping of $6.95. However, on orders of $75 or more, they offer free shipping. They have a 30-day free returns policy and you receive a full refund. They are very helpful, very responsive. They answer your emails within hours. So overall, my experience with this new store has been wonderful, and they are releasing their new cardstock, which I have right here, and they asked me to do a review on this. So I have received this package for free and I'm going to test it today as part of my review. The pack contains 25 sheets of cardstock. It's smooth black cardstock, archival quality, acid free, and it's a 60-pound cover cardstock. The package is open because the second I received it, I really wanted to feel the texture. I have this thing about paper and cardstock, is like a sixth sense for me, where just by feeling the paper, the surface, I already can tell whether or not I'm going to be pleased or disappointed with it. So that's the reason why I opened it, but so far I haven't tried it at all. I wanted to do it everything here with you guys. So I'm going to check out one sheet. Okay, let's put this to the side. So as I said, I always like to feel the texture of the surface of the paper. My fingertips feel it, already knows the quality, and I can already tell you right now that I like what I'm feeling. It's nice, it's smooth. I can tell that the color is well impregnated in it. I can tell that it's not going to leave any color behind, and we are going to be able to see this while we're working with it. But so far my feelings about paper never prove me wrong. It really feels actually thicker than 60 pounds to me. I would say it's more like closer to 70, but that's because probably it has a good coating. So today I'm going to test this cardstock in every possible way as I would use it for my project in general. So my first test is of course cutting, and I'm going to use a blade cutter as well as a rotary cutter, because normally not so good quality cardstock, when you cut it, you're not going to get, from the first attempt, you're not going to get the smooth straight cut. So I'm going to cut it with a grain, and I'm going to cut it against the grain. So right now I'm testing, so this will be with a grain. With the grain means that the cardstock bends easily. Against the grain, it's here, see, you already I'm getting a little bit of tension, that's against the grain. So I'm going to first cut it with a grain, and I'm going to use my blade cutter. Oh my god, it just glided through. So let's see what we have. Beautiful, nice straight cut. I love it. So far so good. So now let's test it cutting it against the grain. Let's see. Again, it just glided through. I love it so far. Again, nice, beautiful, straight, sharp cut. And the other test that I like to do is to cut it like this, because at times when we do packets for our for our albums, we like to do those triangular pockets. So believe it or not, with lower quality cardstock, this is actually an issue. So I'm gonna put it here. Again, it just went through like butter, and this is not even a new blade. I've been using this blade a lot. So beautiful, nice, smooth cut. Look, everywhere. Let me give you a close-up of this one too. Beautiful, nice, smooth cut. And a close-up of this one as well. Oops, sorry. Beautiful, nice, smooth cut, clean. Okay, now let's test it. We're going to do the same testing with a Rotary Blade, as some of you prefer a Rotary Blade for their trimmers. So let's remove this. I prefer a regular blade for my trimmer, but for those of you that love Rotary Blade, let's test it like that as well. Let me figure this out first. Okay. Let's turn the mat. And I'm going to take another piece of cardstock, so we are going to do the same test. Oops. I'll put this in here so I know that this is the CraftMore cardstock. Okay, so let me fill it. So okay, this will be with the grain, so I'm going to cut with the grain. Okay, perfect. I know before even I take it out. Look, beautiful cuts. Now let's test it against the grain. Again, I can tell by the way the blade goes through it like butter. Beautiful cut. And now let's test it like this. I just have to remember where exactly my blade cuts when, because I'm not really using this very often. Okay, I hope I'm going to arrange this properly. Okay. Okay. Amazing. I love it so far. Absolutely gorgeous. And the price for this cardstock, so it's 25 sheets for $9.99. If I'm not mistaken, right now it's on Amazon for $7.99. Okay, I want to change my blade back to the one that I like using. And my next test is going to be scoring. Taking the scoring board out. So I'm going to test it with the grain and against the grain. So I want to test right now. So this will be with the grain. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this will be with the grain. Okay, with the grain, again with the grain, and this one score line is going to be against the grain. Normally when I score my cardstock, I like to score on both sides because that breaks the fibers equally, and I do that with all my cardstock, and I really think it avoids cracking a lot. So, but so far, look, even scoring, it scores beautiful. As you can see, it's a clean score line, no cracking of the fibers. So I'm going to score it again. So this is with the grain, this is with the grain, and this is against the grain. Let's put this away. And now it's time to fold on our creases. Before I do that, I would like to quickly miter in the corners. Let's say we are making a pocket for our album. mitre, and mitre. So now it's time to fold it. So this is with the grain, this post core lines is with the grain, and this is against the grain. Let's burnish. And I can already tell this is good. You know why? Because my pocket doesn't sit flat, which means it's good quality cardstock. Normally when you score your cardstock and then you fold it, if whatever flaps you are making are absolutely flat against it, that's already a sign that the fibers are very broken. So in very short time it's either gonna crack or break. And let's check our score lines. The score lines are nice and sharp, and you can see the cardstock still has a nice bounce to it. Okay, let's check on the inside. But remember, on the inside it's always a little bit of cracking is going to occur. It's normal, but as you can see, I can tell and you can tell that this is not going to tear easily. Okay, so scoring against the grain, with the grain, cutting with the grain, against the grain, using different type of blades, everything so far has passed all my tests. The other test I would like to do is, and for this I'm going to use double-sided tape. Why? When we do our crafts, at times we are tired, etc. We are going to make mistakes, right? So what better way to test it if not to glue it and then use undo? Because from my experience with cardstock, I've had cases where after using undo, the cardstock starting peeling off, which means that the finish was not the greatest on the cardstock, or the color has changed. So at that point basically that page was ruined, because even if I was going to make it and cover it, and actually even weakened, like the strength of the cardstock weakened, so yeah, even if I was going to cover it with pattern paper, that changing color was still visible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take another piece of cardstock and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to burnish it very well, and then I'm going to use undo to see how it reacts to that. Okay, so now let's use undo. Undo, it's a great glue remover, but it doesn't remove wet glue, it only removes double-sided tape like sticker tape and label remover. So don't use this if you use the wet glue, it's not going to work. Okay, let's put this away. So far it's great. The cardstock still keeps its it holds its smoothness. As you can see, the glue removes without ripping the cardstock, so the cardstock doesn't peel off. I don't think it changes color either, but the only time we are going to know that is when the undo will dry. So for that, in order to make these things quicker, I am going to use my heating gun. and still the coat is still there, so no change in color whatsoever. The coat of the cardstock is still there, is still smooth, is still shiny, and it dries without losing color. See, my fingers are still clean, no black on them. Another way to test the cardstock is at times when, let's say, you use double-sided tape. You even burnish it. You are sure the tape is in the right place. You even remove the cover, and this is when you realize, oh no, this is not where I was supposed to put my tape. A good cardstock, when you start to peel off the double-sided tape, if it has a good coat on it, the cardstock will not rub off. And remember, here we already used glue once, and then we used the double-sided tape with a pocket, so this part of the cardstock has been already abused once. So let's see what happens now. I'm going to start rubbing off and it maintains the coat, it maintains the shyness, it maintains the, as you can see, my glue has absolutely no black on it, so the cardstock does not rub off. Look, cardstock remains the same, nice and shiny, as if nothing happened to it. So this passed this test as well. Okay, the other test I would like to do is to actually stamp it and to also do embossing. And I know that now it's not about the quality of the cardstock, because when it comes to stamping, it's on the quality of the stamp, it's on the quality of the ink, and the quality of the embossing powder if you are using embossing powder. But I still like to test it to see how it holds. I don't use stamping too much in my craft. I'm very much into decorating my papers by using dies and punches, but for those of you who are into stamping, I would like to test it in that way too. So now, these are, I've never used these stamps in my life. They are by Forever in Time. So I want to use some pretty, they don't even come out of here. I never took them out, I never used them. You think? Seriously? Okay. I want to use some stamps that are quite detailed, and one of these detailed stamps is this birdie here. As you can see, it's a maybe okay, now it's quite detailed stamp, so I would like to test it with that. They're so glued, my goodness. I think I'm gonna ruin the stamp just by trying to remove it. Okay. Phew, that was a challenge. So I'm gonna place this on a block. At first I would like to use just pigment ink. This is Colorbox Pigment Archival ink. Okay, I moved it, but it tastes sorry guys, I dropped the ink, the stamp back down. But as you can see, and like I said, it's also depending on the quality of the stamp, and these stamps are cheap, so I was not expecting a high quality imprint, but still cardstock takes the ink and takes the detail stamps very well as well. I like it. Okay, So let's remove this. No, actually I want to use the same stamp because I would like to do a little bit of embossing as well. So let's take this, although I really wish I chose another stamp at this point because this stamp is not the best quality. Let's you know what, I'm gonna use it like that. I'm gonna use Versamark. I wanted to clean the stamp, but oh, and I forgot the anti-static thing. Yeah. You know what? I'll fight with it later. And I have some embossing powder right here. I'm doing this test more to see how it takes the heat. However, I've already seen that when we dried off the undo. So hot. Let's make sure it cools down. Oh wow, beautiful. Get rid of that powder. And it's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at the detail. It took all the detail of the stamp and all the detail of the embossing powder. And believe me guys, I tried this embossing powder before and I really didn't like the outcome. This is a Martha Stewart embossing powder. I think it's very fine. I don't think it says, it just says embossing powder. And I tried it before and I really didn't like the outcome, that I didn't even use it again. But now on this cardstock I definitely love the detail it leaves behind, and this is where a good cardstock comes in play, and I just love it. It took absolutely the entire detail of the stamp. I love it. So we passed the heating test, we passed the embossing powder test. Let's put this away. Oops. The other test is when we made marks on our paper with a pencil and then we have to, use the eraser. And I have encountered many times where actually the color will come off or the surface would rub off. So let's see how it does with this as well. So far it's all good, no color is coming off. And believe me, I'm pressing hard here because I want to give this an honest review. And besides the fact that I pressed quite hard with the pencil, so it left like scoring marks, you can't even tell where I used the pencil. And the color and the shining and the coat is absolutely untouched. Okay, the other test I would like to give it is dyes. And I have this one dye which is one of my favorite, and I've been using it a lot. This is by Craft Dyes by Sue Wilson. This dye is very detailed, as you can see, and if you don't have a good cardstock, the cardstock is going to crack and rip under this dye. And I sometimes use this dye to actually test on the quality of my cardstock. So knowing that this dye is the most difficult dye from my entire dyes collection, and believe me, I have a lot of dyes, I've tested a lot of dyes in my life, I would like to give it the test of the most difficult dye in my collection. I just saw that I had a leftover paper there from another time when I had to cut. So let's test it. I know that because it's very detailed, it's going to take a few times to run it through my machine. And also, in order not to move, I will have to use tape to hold it down. Okay, I know it doesn't have to be perfect, but still. Great. Okay, let me make some room. And let me bring my die cutting machine and my cutting plates. Let's see if it cuts all the way through, or we need another passage. Oh wow, I've never had this before. It actually cut all the way through in one go. I think this is going to become my new favorite cardstock. As you can see, and sometimes, and believe me, even if it's very low-tech tape, with other cardstock I used to peel off, like the surface of the cardstock used to peel off, but not with this cardstock. And the coating is so good that it doesn't, the tape doesn't even leave any residue behind. Put the machine away so we can have from on the table. Wow, from the first attempt, I'm absolutely amazed at this point. This has never happened to me with any other cardstock. It will either rip like crazy and rub off and you name it, but I've never had a clean cut from the first attempt with this die. This is one of my most challenging dies. Look, absolutely gorgeous. Let me get this out of the way. Absolutely gorgeous all the way through. Beautiful clean cut, nothing ripped. Look at that. And I think I've tested, probably the only thing left to test is to use with punches. So let's do that quickly as well. Let me use this strip here. I have a Martha Stewart punch, available here. So let's do that. Let me get my ruler for a second, because when it comes to punching borders, I like to mark the middle of my paper, and I also mark the middle of my punch. I do it with a pencil right there. So when I start punching from the middle, and then I go one side and the other side, and in this way I will have the same design on both ends. Yes. Okay. So let's put it here. Let me align my, this punch is so deep I can't see my line when I put it in there. Beautiful. I want to do a few more punches to make sure that, and I'll be using this punch a lot, and between the quality of the punch and the quality of the paper, it goes through as if it's butter. As you can see, perfect, beautiful cut. So I would definitely recommend this new cardstock. Once again, this is 65-pound cover weight. It's by CraftMore, and I'm not sure whether or not it hit the market yet, but if it hasn't, it will soon. Right now you are going to find it on Amazon.com, and it's yet to be released on CraftMore.com website. So in the end, I will use this cardstock. I would recommend this cardstock. Although it says 65-pound cover weight, it feels thicker than that. To me, it feels closer to 80-pound weight, but that tells me that it's got a very good coat. And cardstock with a very good coat, it's much more resistant, it feels thicker, and as you can see, it can take the abuse, it can take your errors, which you can rectify with nobody knowing that, you know, you had some extra glue here, that you use undo, that you use an eraser, that you use pencil, and with the one of my most challenging dies, it went through the first cut. This has never happened to me before with this die. Absolutely no cracking of the paper, no breaking, no rubbing off. My hands are clean. I have absolutely no ink, so the ink is not bleeding either, and you can tell that the ink is very well impregnated in the cardstock. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for so much to craftmore.com for giving me this opportunity to review this cardstock. Have a good day. Bye bye.